Tonight on Reporting Scotland, the dangers of sextortion. A campaign begins to warn young people about the risk of being blackmailed over intimate pictures after a teenager from Dunblane took his own life.
He was a great kid. He was a really lovely boy. He had a great sense of humour and he was forthright and he had opinions and, you know, he was streetwise, but they got him.
Also on tonight's programme, a teenager is detained for killing a bus driver who refused to let him on the bus because he was drunk. Bidding farewell to one of Scotland's oldest lifeline ferries being retired after nearly 40 years in service.
And in sport, can Scotland salvage their Nations League campaign with a second win in 4 days as they take on Poland in Warsaw?
Last thing I said to her was, I'm going to win a BAFTA for you, and I've done it, so I'm chuffed.
And Ashley's Story, the daughter of late comedian Janie Godley, wins big at the BAFTA Scotland Awards. Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Monday's programme. Murray Dowie took his own life last year after being blackmailed by criminals in West Africa who'd tricked him into sharing intimate pictures of himself. He was just 16. It's a type of scam known as sextortion, and Murray's mum and dad are appealing directly to those behind it to stop terrorising young people. It comes as police, the Scottish Government and others join together to support a new awareness-raising campaign about what to do if you're targeted. Katie Hunter has the story.
He was a great kid. He was a really lovely boy. He had a great sense of humour and he was forthright and he had opinions and he was streetwise, but they got him.
Ros and Mark Dowie's lives changed overnight. Their son Murray ended his life after criminals tricked him into sending compromising images of himself and blackmailed him.
He went up to his room and he was absolutely fine and, you know, we found him dead the next morning.
And we had no chance to intervene, to notice there was something wrong and try and help and fix it.
You know, it happened so quickly.
It's thought Murray was targeted by criminals in West Africa.
You use a profile of a beautiful girl and he will keep imagining, wow, this is my girlfriend.
This isn't the man who tricked Murray, but he has blackmailed others. Our colleagues in Nigeria showed him this message from Murray's parents.
He didn't deserve to die in the way he did, and it breaks my heart to think what his last few moments or hours of getting relentless messages and threats and the terror he must have felt and the panic. That's one of the hardest things, to think what his last sort of few moments or hours in life were like.
To be honest, I'm almost crying, like I feel very bad.
This morning, Murray's parents were in Glasgow, supporting a campaign designed to protect young people from sextortion.
Nudes, scuds, sexy selfies, pics, whatever you want to call it. You've sent it to someone you were talking to online and now they're blackmailing you.
The Crime Stoppers campaign was shaped by teenagers.
All of the young people expressed real empathy for victims of sextortion.
Ruby hasn't been a victim, but wants to warn others.
Young people didn't know what sextortion was. No one knew the word, I guess, and lots of them didn't even know the crime. So it's just important for people to know what it is, because how can you stop it if you don't know what it is?
And police say tracking down international gangs can be done.
Yeah, it's difficult but not impossible. You know, our role is to make sure that we gather the best evidence that we can, and that's why it's important that people come to the police. So every line of inquiry that we can get, every attack, every targeting that these offenders do, all lead us back to the people that we need to target. So that's why we want people to come forward.
Ros and Mark don't know who targeted their son.
We would love to see justice for Murray. I don't know if we'll get that or not, but that, you know, it's not going to bring him back is the thing. Nothing's going to bring him back. So even if we got justice, it doesn't fill the Murray-shaped gap that we're always going to have.
A gap and grief the Dowies hope others can avoid.
Well, Katie's here now. Katie, it's just such an awful story, every parent's worst nightmare. But what is the advice?
Well, the main message from this Crime Stoppers Fearless campaign, Laura, is aimed at young people who fall victim to sextortion. And the advice is don't panic, don't pay or comply with the blackmailer's demands, and seek help from a trusted adult. Now, the campaign also offers advice to adults who look after or who work with young people, and that is that criminals can target anyone in this way online. So the advice is to talk to teenagers or young people regularly about sextortion. You heard there from Ruby, she's 15, she's been talking to lots of young people about this, and many of them have never heard of it or don't really know what it is, or perhaps worry that they might get into trouble. You can also look at reviewing your family's privacy settings on social media. But this campaign is really keen to stress that it's never the young person's fault, that they're not alone, and that there is help out there.
Hopefully it makes a difference. OK, thank you very much, Katie. And if you have been affected by any of the issues in Katie's report, a list of organisations that can help is available at bbc.co.uk/action line. Or you can call for free to hear recorded information on 0800 066 066. A teenage boy who admitted killing a bus driver by headbutting and raining punches on him has been sentenced to more than 4 years in custody. Keith Rawlinson died of a cardiac arrest following the incident in Elgin in February. The 16-year-old, who was 15 at the time and can't be named because of his age, had been refused permission to get on the bus because he was drunk. Ailey Davis reports from the High Court in Inverness.
The High Court was told that the teenager, who earlier pleaded guilty to culpable homicide, had suffered adverse childhood experiences. He had begun drinking and using cannabis at the age of 13 and had witnessed domestic abuse. The boy had previously been reported for an assault on another bus driver. A supervision order for that offence had ended just 3 weeks before the fatal attack on Mr. Rawlinson, which was described as frenzied as he rained blows down on Mr. Rawlinson's body. A subsequent post-mortem on Mr. Rawlinson revealed that he suffered from significant heart disease. The court heard, since being in secure accommodation and following reports which were before Lady Hood, that he had made remarkable progress. Sheila McCall KC for the defence said he had gained qualifications and had been studying, and he had written a letter to convey his remorse to the family of Mr. Rawlinson, which was handed to them today. Lady Hood, though, said despite the progress he had made, which he must continue for his own good and the good of society, she had no option but to impose a sentence of detention. She sentenced him to 4 years and 4 months, which was backdated to the 5th of February when he was first remanded. The family of Mr. Rawlinson made no comment following the sentencing, but were visibly upset as they left the court. Judge Lady Hood said that no sentence could make up for the loss Mr. Rawlinson's family had suffered. Ailey Davis, reporting Scotland, Inverness.
To some of the day's other stories now. And the owner of Grangemouth Oil Refinery has turned down a further bid to buy out the site ahead of its proposed closure next year. A consortium, including a US-based energy investor, has made a second approach to Petroineos and the Scottish Government. The proposed takeover was deemed not credible without the necessary capital to invest while sustaining continued losses. Another potential bidder has also been turned away on the same grounds. More than 400 jobs are expected to go at the site. The man behind Glasgow's Willy Wonka experience, which went viral earlier this year, has been placed on the sex offenders register. William Cool repeatedly sent explicit pictures and messages to women between March and July this year, despite being told to stop. Glasgow Sheriff Court heard Cool suffered a decline in his mental health due to the significant media attention, which included featuring in a Channel 5 documentary about the Willy Wonka experience. Strike action by bus drivers in the Highlands and Orkney has been averted by a new pay deal. The dispute, involving around 200 members of Unite and Stagecoach, threatened to disrupt services in Aviemore, Inverness, Portree, Tain, Thurso and parts of Orkney. The union said the first year of the pay package would see drivers receive a basic pay rise of about 7.5%, backdated to July. A retired osteopath has told the High Court he struggled with a former patient while attempting to disarm him after being shot in the back. Finlay MacDonald is on trial, accused of attempting to murder John Mackenzie and his wife Faye at their home in the village of Dorney in the West Highlands. He's also accused of murdering his brother-in-law and attempting to murder his wife the same day. MacDonald denies the charges. Stephen Godden reports.
The jury heard that in the spring of 2022, the accused Finlay MacDonald was fixated on John Mackenzie, blaming the osteopath for damaging his back. Today, John Mackenzie gave evidence about what happened in August that year. He told the court he knew that something was wrong when, from his garden, he heard shouts of "drop the weapon" before seeing a man he knew to be Finlay MacDonald standing beside his front window holding a gun. He said that he went inside where he found his wife, Faye, distressed and covered in blood. Now, he told the court that from what he knew about shotguns, he thought their attacker had one shot left. He said, "I was fairly confident that if he shot me in the back, he wouldn't kill me and I'd be able to take the gun off him." He said that he and his wife were sheltering in the bathroom when she shouted, "There's the man." Mr. Mackenzie said he pushed his wife to the ground and lay on top of her to protect her. He said that that was the point at which Finlay MacDonald shot him in the back. Now, in her evidence, Faye Mackenzie said she saw Finlay MacDonald waiting for her before shooting her in the face. She told the court that her husband was then shot at point-blank range and that she thought they were both going to die. Mrs. Mackenzie said her husband disarmed their attacker during a struggle and that during that struggle she had hit Finlay MacDonald a couple of times in the head with a metal toilet roll holder. Now, Finlay MacDonald is charged with murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He denies all the charges. On the charge of murder, he's lodged a special defence claiming he was suffering from abnormality of mind. The trial at the High Court in Edinburgh continues. Stephen Godden, reporting Scotland.
Opposition MSPs are calling for a ban on politicians serving at Holyrood and Westminster at the same time. It comes after the SNP's Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, announced his ambition to win a seat at the Scottish Parliament in the 2026 elections without giving up his job as an MP. Well, let's get more on this from our chief political correspondent, Lindsay Bewes. And Lindsay, MSPs could vote on a ban before Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. This ban is being proposed by the Tory MSP Graham Simpson as part of a bill going through Holyrood on Scottish elections. Now, he said the announcement by Stephen Flynn that he wants to be both an MSP and an MP at the same time had helped him make up his mind that this measure was necessary in advance of the 2026 Holyrood election, having previously withdrawn it. Now, in discussions with the Scottish Government earlier this month, he said that he agreed that there ought to be a consultation on such a measure. However, he now wants to press ahead with it, bringing the proposal back when MSPs have a vote on this legislation at its final stage that could take place before Christmas recess.
It's not going away, this issue. What's likely to happen, do you think?
Well, Graham Simpson's proposals would need to be selected for a vote, and then there is the issue of the parliamentary arithmetic here. Labour and the Greens are backing it. He would need his own Tory colleagues to come on board. They've been fairly non-committal as a party, and he'd think he'd also be looking for some SNP rebels as well. That's not out of the question, considering the level of anger inside the party over Stephen Flynn's announcement. But look, I think this looks like a pretty tall order. There is a lot of politics at play here, trying to force a vote on an uncomfortable issue for the SNP. And remember, the party is also looking at its own internal rules for its 2026 election candidates. So this matter of dual mandates is not going anywhere anytime soon.
OK, Lindsay Bewes at Holyrood, thank you. Now, she's one of Scotland's oldest lifeline ferries, becoming a vital and familiar part of island life. Now, after almost 40 years, the Hebridean Isles has made her final crossing. The Calmac vessel is being retired from service, and it marks the end of an era for many islanders and former passengers, as Chris McLennan reports.
The people of Selby turned out in their hundreds on the warmest day of the year to watch the historic launch. The Hebridean Isles has been built by Cochrane's for the Caledonian McBrain Shipping Company.
From proud beginnings followed by a lifetime of service, the time has come to bid a fond farewell to one of Scotland's most loved ferries.
I'm feeling a bit sorrowful. I've been on it a long time. I think I'm the longest crew member on here, but all good things must come to an end at some stage. So she's done her best, she's served the fleet well, she's served Karl Marx well. But there comes a time you've got to call a halt.
The Hebridean Isles has had many firsts. She was the first to be built outside of Scotland and the first to be named by a member of the royal family.
From the Isles to wish her a musical welcome to the waters of the Ouse.
And impressively, as these images show, the ferry was the first in the Calmac fleet to be launched sideways. But for one couple, the Heb Isles means so much more than just steel and aluminium.
The Hebridean Isles has been very important in my life. We were going across from Uig to Harris, where Neil proposed to me on the Hebridean Isles. In 1992, we went across to Harris to get married.
We gave her a final crossing.
But we gave her, we gave her a final crossing.
That was closing the door. Really?
Yes, it was. Yeah, end of an era really for the journey that we've had with the Hebridean Isles.
Pretty sad. I've been on the ship 7 years. So I've done second officer, chief officer, and master runner, and it's quite emotional.
But as the curtain comes down on the Heb Isles, her legacy is sure to live on in the memory of those who loved her. Chris McLennan, reporting Scotland.
Oh, end of an era. A bit of 1980s thinking going on there with the health and safety regs, I think, though.
I know, running under a ferry, Laura. I don't think there were gasps in the studio watching
No,
that.
absolutely. Let's hope tonight's performance in Warsaw isn't as terrifying.
Yes, we'll be hoping for that. We'll be hoping the result is like Friday, though. Thanks very much. Hello there. Well, what a huge night in store for Scotland, who know that only a win will see them avoid relegation from the top tier of the Nations League. They're in Warsaw to take on Poland this evening. And this is the Scotland team that has just been announced in the last wee while. Only 2 changes from the side that beat Croatia on Friday. Aston Villa's John McGinn comes into the midfield in place of Ryan Christie, and young striker Tommy Conway drops to the bench with Lyndon Dykes included in the starting 11. Jane Lewis is in the Polish capital, from where she has sent this report.
Well, the stage is all set for Scotland's final Nations League group match. That arena you can see all lit up behind me is Warsaw's National Stadium, and that's where Scotland will take on Poland this evening. Now, the sides both have 4 points in this Nations League group. 1 win and 1 draw apiece so far in this campaign, and that's probably why the Scotland manager Steve Clarke thinks that tonight will be a fairly tight encounter. However, the thousands of fans who've travelled over for this one, around 3,000 Scotland fans have made the trip, and they've come here full of belief and confidence after watching their side's last 2 results.
They're quite an attacking team, and they're also concede because they're an attacking team. So I'd like to think we can give them some problems, and they're missing Lewandowski and a few good players, so got a good chance.
The last few games we've only been beat 1 goal off Portugal, 1 goal off Poland. The other game, performance has been building and building. So yeah, I don't see why not. 2-0 Scotland.
I was disappointed the first half on Friday, but I'm kind of confident because the second half was really good.
We were coming here anyway. That coming here with something to play for is always magical when you're following Scotland.
When we set out in September into this group of games, or this run of games, the idea was to be in contention for something come the last 2 games, and we've got a realistic chance of staying at the top flight, or at least getting to the playoffs, so we'll take that.
So there's plenty for Scotland to play for here this evening, remaining in League A and potentially being in the top pots for the World Cup draw. But before all that, one thing is for sure, beating Poland this evening here is a must. Jane Lewis, reporting Scotland, Warsaw.
Now, there's quite a lot on the line tonight, even though there's no direct qualification for a tournament at stake, and it's pretty complicated, so I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I possibly can. A Scotland win means they'll finish 2nd or 3rd in their group and won't automatically be relegated to Nations League B. But the Scots' fate isn't entirely in their own hands. Much depends on the result of Croatia against Portugal tonight. If Portugal win comfortably and Scotland also win, it'll be a 2nd place finish and into the top pot for the World Cup qualifiers next year. That's the best case scenario. But if Croatia avoid defeat, then it's no better than third in the group, making qualification for the World Cup a more daunting prospect. Anything less than a win for Scotland and they'll be demoted and drop into pot 3 for those qualifiers. Think you've got it, hopefully. Right, well now we can hear from St Johnstone defender Barry Douglas, who played Polish club football for several years.
I think they're probably quite similar to Scotland in a transitional period. Kind of try to find their DNA as such and their philosophy of playing. I know they've not had the new manager so long, so I mean they've got loads of youth. They've also got some top players, but again, it's international football. That every game is different.
Well, to the SWPL now, and Glasgow City remain top of the league after their 6-1 win over Queen's Park yesterday. But it was the Old Firm derby which stole the headlines. 5 goals, a manager sent to the stands and a highly debated penalty in what was a thrilling encounter at New Douglas Park. Defending champion Celtic came from behind twice, but it was this absolutely stunning volley from Rangers substitute Chelsea Cornet in the 78th minute that sealed all 3 points for Joe Potter's side. The Ibrox club are now 4 points ahead of their city rival Celtic, but Potter says there is still a long way to go in the title race.
I don't think the top 3 is an absolute given. You've got Hearts, you've got Hibs that have really pushed forward this year and have really kicked on, and they've already caused a few upsets. So it makes it for a more exciting league. It makes it better for teams to have more competition in and around us. It makes us better. It makes us better players. It makes the game better, and it makes a better spectacle for the fans and everybody watching.
To curling, and things are looking good for Scotland's men at the European Championships. Skipper Bruce Mowatt's defending champions are remaining top of the standings at the moment. Scotland are the only unbeaten side left in the competition after they beat Switzerland 7-6 after an extra end earlier today. They're now just on the ice again, currently trailing to Austria. Earlier, Scotland's women beat Hungary, their second win in 5 games. That's all your sport tonight, Laura. We will be across all the Scotland action, of course, and what it means, trying to stay on top of it all on the 9.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to draw me a picture on that one. Thanks, Amy. Now it's over to Laura Goodwin to find out what's happening on the BBC Scotland channel at 9 o'clock.
Coming up on the 9, Joe Biden's given the go-ahead for Ukraine to use long-range US missiles to strike inside Russia. We ask what might happen next. Energy bills are set to rise again next year. We've been asking you how you feel about that and find out if there's anything you can do. And as Scotland take on Poland in the Nations League, former player Paul Lambert joins us for reaction. We'll see you then.
Now, it's just 2 weeks since she lost her mum, Janie Godley, to cancer. And last night, the comedian Ashley Storey fulfilled what she said were her last words to her, that she'd win a BAFTA. In fact, she picked up 2 awards at the BAFTA Scotland ceremony for the BBC comedy drama Dinosaur. There were also awards for the actor David Tennant and the sports broadcaster Hazel Irvine. Our reporter Hope Webb was there.
It was a night for celebration and recognising some of the best TV and film talent currently working in Scotland.
And the BAFTA Scotland award goes to Out of Darkness.
The biggest winner of the night was horror film Out of Darkness. It picked up the Best Film Award as well as Best Actor and Actress for cast members Kit Young and Safia Oakley-Brown. As for the TV category, Dún McKeekin was awarded Best TV Actress for her return to Two Doors Down.
I never thought I could care about an award, but actually I do really care because it's in Scotland and it's after 7 series and the writer's no longer with us, so it's a very emotional thing. It's wonderful.
Surprisingly, hugely popular but controversial show Baby Reindeer and its creator Richard Gadd missed out despite being nominated in 3 categories. But the big winner was Ashley Storey. The daughter of late comedian Janie Godley picked up the Screenwriter Award and Audience Choice Award for her BBC TV series Dinosaur. And her mum was at the forefront of her mind.
I think it would mean an awful lot for her to see me up here tonight. Obviously, she'd give me about 15 seconds of praise before it was about her, but that was just the nature of who Janie was. The last thing I said to her was, I'm going to win a BAFTA for you, and I've done it, so I'm chuffed.
Elsewhere, sports broadcasting legend Hazel Irvine was recognised for her nearly 40-year career. She started as one of Scotland's only female sports reporters back in 1987.
It's very difficult in the world at times at the moment, isn't it? But it's nice for us to be able to celebrate creativity in Scotland in all of its forms in the television and film arts, and I think it's just lovely to be a part of it.
In amongst all the glitz and glamour, it was a night of recognition of just how much Scotland has to offer the world of TV and film. Hope Webb reporting Scotland.
And now Christopher is here with the weather. Cold, yeah?
A shock to the system, I think, this
Yeah,
morning,
too
wasn't
right.
it? Yes, really cold. Lovely picture from one of our weather watchers, rolling hills there in Aberdeenshire with a dusting of snow. More of that to come, Laura. Thanks very much indeed. Good evening to you. Yes, it's been a cold day, hasn't it? Lots of wintry showers across the north of the mainland as well, and they are set to continue overnight. So a Met Office yellow warning across parts of Aberdeenshire, Moray, the Highlands and Islands and the Northern Isles, and that warning with us right through until Wednesday because the showers just keep on coming. Elsewhere, it's dry, fairly cloudy at the moment through central and southern Scotland, but overnight that cloud will clear, and for all, it's cold with a widespread hard frost. Town and city temperatures down to around -5, but some rural parts down to -8, maybe -9, and icy stretches around as well. So first thing tomorrow is a cold start once again. Those showers will be frequent across the north and the snow amounts just increasing. So accumulations to low levels a few centimetres higher ground, 10 centimetres or more. Central and southern Scotland, though, dry, cold, some sunshine, crisp sunshine. Perhaps a few showers in towards East Lothian and the eastern borders, but most of those showers really across the north where we have that Met Office yellow warning. And the winds will be brisk from the north. So with the thermometer reading 3, 4, 5 Celsius, if you're in the wind, it's going to feel really quite raw. Tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, once again dry, clear and cold through central and southern parts. Those showers still with us in the north, so we do it all again. This is overnight tomorrow night, down to freezing or lower in towns and cities, and the countryside colder, and there'll be some icy stretches around. The cold Arctic air is sticking with us. This is Wednesday, but a slight change in wind direction to a more northwesterly. That means a greater chance of seeing those showers work their way down the western side of the country, perhaps even just coming inland at times. Many areas through central and southern Scotland, crisp sunshine but cold. Further north, the showers still with us. The air just a little bit less cold in the Northern Isles, so the showers here more likely to be of rain or sleet. And then as we head through towards the end of the week, Thursday and Friday staying cold, but a change on the way for Saturday, turning wet with rain and the wind strengthening as well. That's a long way off. The rest of the week is cold and sunny for many, and then a change to something a little bit milder into the weekend. That's the forecast for now. Laura.
And it does look nice, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Thanks, Christopher. Now tonight's main news again. A campaign has been launched to warn young people about the risk of being blackmailed over intimate pictures after a Dunblane teenager caught in a sextortion scam took his own life. And a teenage boy who admitted killing a bus driver by headbutting and raining punches on him has been sentenced to more than 4 years in custody. Keith Rawlinson died of a cardiac arrest following the incident in Elgin. And that is Reporting Scotland. I will be here with your late news at 10:30 tonight. Join me if you can. In the meantime, from all of us here, good night.